Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
All right, buzz babies. We are here on New Comic Book Day. I got Michael Katz with me again. This guy can't fucking quit me, man. He's been on my show what three times now.
Four.
Yeah, 3 or 4. It's getting up there. Well, I mean, you make a lot of comics, man. You're cranking out the goods, right? And
trying.
And I like you're making good comics too. I like I like what we're going to talk tonight about. In the indie world, it's hard to get these superhero comics rocking and rolling, right? Like, it's so many people think that needs to be saved for the big two. And I like people like you that look into the eyes of those naysayers and say, fuck you, buddy. I'm going to make the comic books that I want to make. Right. And so we're here to talk tonight about Golden Years. All right. Which is a very cool premise. All right. We got this superhero, Captain Future, and the name is interesting too, because he's from the 50s, right? And then the supervillain locks him in this time chamber, and luckily, thanks to a starving rodent who chews through a wire, there's some short circuitry shenanigans, and our hero wakes from a deep slumber, and it is now 2023, almost 75 years in the future, and this dude, other than being still a hit with the ladies, is kind of a walking clusterfuck, and I love it. Like, he's having to relearn everything, right? And I love, man, the third chapter was probably like lots of action too, but just like that's one of the first times we see him like really slip up and like use some very antiquated language and like just and they're like, that's not cool anymore, man. They like to have that conversation in the middle of like a super battle, right? I just thought, man, like great scripting from you, man. There's a lot of humor in this. I think the jokes land and the humor really works, and I'm digging it. But I guess let's go ahead and ask you like probably the same questions that you've been asked, over and over. Did you just do Cody's show too before this?
No, I did that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, it was a couple. Okay, I saw it. I saw it like on Twitter. I thought.
Yeah, it showed up again.
Oh, okay. Because I remember, man, one of the last times I talked to David Papose when he was doing the Kickstarter circuits, like, dude, I was like his third interview or something that day, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I was like, I'll try really hard to be cool, but well, that's cool. So you're not worn out and exhausted. That's good. We'll go with that. But so you've had a lot of luck with your previous Kickstarter Spy Masterpiece that just did its you just did the special with Ron Mars, which was so cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
And you guys came on for that, and now it spy genre like crosses territory with superhero genre a bit, just because it's like, one person up against like insurmountable odds, right? But they usually have like gadgets and skills and things that like help them in lieu of superpowers, right? But what made you want to take this very it feels very big too. It looks very big too. Like this, it's a very polished superhero comic. Like what made you want to go this route, take it to Kickstarter? Because I've heard people tell people like right now, like, don't like superhero comics it's kind of risky for crowdfunding and stuff. But I mean, you're funded, you're good to go. Like, what was your experience with all that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna have lost money on it, when it's all said and done. But the hope is that some publisher will want to take a chance on it and release it as a mini series. I created it as a 5-issue mini, but once I decided to put it on Kickstarter, I didn't want to release it, one chapter at a time, because that would take 18 months or something. And I wanted to get my work out there, And even though I'm, leaving money on the table by doing one Kickstarter as opposed to 5, the hope is that, it'll help, keep the ball rolling.
Okay.
I started with Riot Earp. I've got, now I got Golden Years. My next project is going to be a kind of a heavy metal magazine style sci-fi book.
Hell yeah. Oh, you better come back.
But
I guess I better treat you right so you come back for that one.
yeah. My first foray into the not safe for work.
Hey, there's big money to be made in that right now. It's getting very popular.
We'll see. Yeah.
I got I did my first. I mean, the Pat Shan broke $100,000 for his last one, and it's about to ship. I'm kind of excited. I've never like Charlie. Every time I say, like, when I'm like act like a little good schoolboy, right? And I'm like, I've never had a titty comic before, and it's all new to me. I'm so innocent, And Charlie Stickney always reminds me. He's like, you read White Ash, it's like, and Glarian. There's like nudity and sex in it. And I was like, okay, but like. There's sex in some comics. I've seen nudity in comics, but like it's not like the main showcase, right? Like it's the not safe for work stuff is a little different. And there's got to be story and plot, but there's also got to be some drippy nasty hotness too, right?
Yeah, really. You could remove the scenes and the story wouldn't miss it.
Yeah,
but I wanted to have that.
But if you make the scenes good enough, then they will miss it, right? Like you got that's what makes the not safe for work stuff. It's interesting to me. Like I said, man, I've always been really into like the pinup covers, right? And then Keith's last campaign, I bought the nude variant for
the Daybreak.
Yeah, for Daybreak, and it's like, man, I always say that I'll never do things right. I was like, I'll never spend extra money for a nudie cover. I don't understand why people buy Funkos. They're dumb. I'll never buy a metal cover. Guess what? I've done all these things, and like now I can't stop. So I just lie to myself.
Yeah,
constantly is what I do. We got some people in the chat.
My next book, the next book is going to be 48 pages.
Nice,
but there's a 3-page sex scene.
Ooh.
And the thing is, I could take that 3 pages out and do a 45-page regular and a 48-page not safe for work version, or I could just keep it in for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's a production decision I still have to make.
Still tinkering with. Mick Byers, another guy who's been on the show a few times, he edits like his whole comic. Either like the whole comic will have nudity in it, and then he does like another version where he like draws the
Queen of
clothes
Mars.
back on.
We repped each other's books just today.
I saw he was in your Kickstarter update. Shout out to David Hazan, who's sick with COVID right now. Hope you're feeling better, baby. Thanks for tuning in. And then we got John Westoff in the house, another Kickstarter legend that's been on the show a few times before. He's got his Drumsticks of Doom campaign going on right now. You guys should check that out too. What's up, Mark? Hey, we got thanks for coming and hanging out, guys. Classy nudities. That's what we're here for. It's classy nudity. And like Charlie Stickney can break all the fucking rules, right? That dude just prints money wherever he goes. It's ridiculous. Every comic book person, whether they're big 2, little 2, whatever side of the coin they're on, everybody wants to be Charlie Stickney. The mind on him, both like the business side and the creative side, is very impressive. Also, speaking of very impressive minds, Michael Katz is a great storyteller, and we are here to celebrate him, not all these other people I keep talking about. But so you're an attorney by day, right?
Yeah.
And then and so you're an attorney by day. You're friends with Ron Mars, and like Ron Mars, ladies and gentlemen, edits all his books, right? And I mean, like, I can't even imagine how great that would be to like utilize that gift. Like, he's so talented, and to like have him help you tell these stories, I mean, and that's why I think like they come out so polished, and you're not afraid to spend the bucks on art, which I also dig about your books. Like,
Right.
and this mini series where you're paying 2 artists, right? So like there's the
technically 4.
4.
Well, we got Kevin McGuire doing the flashbacks and covers. All right, we got
Yeah.
Jack Herbert, who did the first 2 books, the modern day.
Okay.
Then we have the last 3 chapters are Neto Diaz on pencils and Key Champagne on inks.
Oh wow.
You
Damn.
know? So
you are Keith is going to be on this. That's cool. I thought he
Yeah.
was just doing, because I know you got like a pinup or something, or you've shown a couple pinups on the page, but that we'll show
Right.
here in a little bit. So you and Keith work together a lot, it seems like.
Yeah. He also does the letters for all my books.
Nice.
And he helps with a little bit of editorializing on the back end.
Very cool. Yeah.
So I get the polishers on the front and back.
So what kind of attorney are you? Like, are you like helping these guys find, like, hide bodies? Like how do you have like all this talent around you, like any venture? And because you're just like, you're very lucky in your endeavors. It seems with your creative teams and stuff, and people are, excited to work with you. At least that's how it seems when they've been on my show with you. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, I got lucky where it all started with me making a connection with Ron Mars years ago, and then through him I got some of these artists, and then they would pass me on to other people. For example, I needed someone for my sci-fi book, and I asked Neto Diaz, and he was too busy, but he said, I got a friend who's kind of new to the business, and give him a shot. And so, that's how I found this relatively new artist whose stuff is, amazing. He's kind of this cross between Alan Davis and Brian Hitch.
Ooh.
And
those are good names to cross with.
Yeah. But the big thing is I pay people right away.
Nice.
I pay good numbers. Really, I mean, when you're dealing with an artist like Kevin McGuire, it's what do you charge? I'll pay it.
Yeah.
I'm not messing around here. And to me, it's worth kicking in the extra bucks to get someone with his cachet and his ability to work on the book.
Yeah. I also think it helps you a lot in Kickstarter, because there are tiers to comics on Kickstarter, right? Like, not everything is as wonderfully polished. Lettering often gets, like, people will go cheap routes on lettering, which I think really hurts a lot of Kickstarter projects. But like I said, every book I've read from you has top tier, like, iconic, like, people that have been in this game for a while art, except for this new project. But it also sounds like you did some scouting, right? So that's cool too. But they're very, very beautiful books. And like I said, this book, and once we I'll just bring up the page here so we can look at this beautiful art. Like, I'm not scrolling. Hold on. Here we go. Bam. Here we go. All right. So Captain Future is a superhero from the 50s, a cross between Captain America and Superman, trapped in a suspended animation by his arch enemy and not freed until 2023. He awakens to a bizarre new world, a fish out of water, looking for a way to get back to his own time. And that's another thing that cracks me up. This dude keeps talking about time machines. He keeps thinking people are fucking with him. He's got, like, the cell phone.
He wants to go back to 1950.
Which I don't know why he would, man. Yeah, like, he's like in. Well, I mean, I guess I know why he would, but he's a fish out of water, but he lands like a hot day.
Yeah, well, the idea is when you compare 2023 to 1950, everything's kind of shitty.
Yeah,
especially in his point of view. Yeah, and that's part of what I try to evoke on these pages is this difference between what life is like now versus back then.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not saying things were better then, but I'm saying things were kind of cleaner for him.
Yeah.
and it's a big culture shock.
Sorry,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my dog's going crazy. 1 second. All right, but yeah. So one thing I love about this, comic book is every chapter, the introduction of every chapter is very much like old school, Marvel, like recap who's the character, what are the powers, like, we can see like here, and I love, like, it just sings of like an older time, right? While
Mhm.
but your writing, the writing flows so much better than like a historical comic, or something
Right.
that's like decades old.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But I love these nods to, like, comic book history. I think you did
Mhm.
all that really well. So
Thanks.
this is we got the art. So the art changes based on the time period. So like this is the 50s. Where and I love the Robin short shorts. Oh my
Mhm.
god. Like, so, and I
Yeah,
he can,
all the superheroes back then, even though the men wore short shorts, it was crazy.
yeah, like they, I guess they just like the legs, right? You
Yeah.
got to.
Originally, the project was, intended to have some public domain, real, quote unquote, real
Yeah,
superhero, and I couldn't find someone that I really liked, so I decided to invent my own.
nice.
But the thing, so I created, I created the superheroes and the supervillains all on my own, and and there's, ones from the 50s, and then there's a boatload of ones from the present,
Yeah,
and I had to create these, with the mindset of these are 1950s style characters, 1950s style costumes and names, and then modern day costumes and names and power sets.
yeah. And I think you really excelled in that. Now I love this. Like, let's like peep this transition, viewers. Like, this is like I love the this art too. But once we get to the moderns, like, look at the colors and the detail. Like, goodness gracious, this looks phenomenal. Like, it's such a beautiful book, man.
Yeah,
It's
my
so pretty.
colorist, a guy named Julio Santos, is another. He's an up and comer. He doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's amazing.
Yeah.
He did, the colors on this book and a couple of my other upcoming projects, and he has the different color palettes for 1950 and 2023.
Oh, so it is the same colorist working both.
Yep.
Nice, nice. I think that's really smart to do in anthology stuff, or in other books where people have used like multiple artists for whatever reason. Like, keeping that same colorist, I think, really helps tie everything together and keep
Mhm.
it like cohesive, right? Even though it's going to look different, he's going to use a different palette, but it's just like, the colors, they control our mood and a lot of our experience and a lot of how we take in the art, right? So if the same person is masterminding, both of those, both sides of that equation,
Mhm.
I think that makes it work a lot better. And again, which is like, I've read 3 issues of this and it's phenomenal. Like, I love it. And
Mhm.
you're good. Bookmarks, trading cards, we got some stuff going. Look at, all right, these are some really great pinups too, coming out. I love this cheesecake pin. Like, I mean, you just want to take a bite out of it, right? Like, give me a break. And who's that? That is Fred Benez, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, my Riot Earp compatriot.
yeah. Um, and then there's, you can get like some sketches done. You can get the past issues of Riot Earp with this as add-ons, which is
Mhm.
also, if you've watched my show and seen Mike on here before, like, I love Riot Earp. Like, it's such a good time. Um, T-shirt, man, you got everything. Um, oh, there's your fucking Eagles jersey.
My Eagles. I know we could go off in a tangent. I could spend the whole hour on the Eagles on the Super Bowl.
The holding call heard around the world, but
I wore my Eagles green shirt.
but yeah, so as you can see, like, he works with Ron, and on a lot of this stuff, and Ron's his editor. But if the art doesn't sell you alone, like, I'm for real, like, I'm really enjoying the story. I'm so excited to see where it's going. The trade is going to have it's going to be 5 issues, right?
Yeah, it's a complete story. 5-issue miniseries compiled in a trade without the actual individual issues coming out first.
Nice.
And yeah, and hopefully someone will take a flyer on it and put it out. That's why I wanted to reach a company like Band of Bards or someone.
Yeah.
Because I like they did the same thing with Daniel Calvin's American Dreams book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
I'm
that
actually
came out on
very excited for
Kickstarter, and
that.
now they're putting it out in monthly floppies.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, that is a different, like, that's also a great indie superhero book, which
Mhm.
I'm excited to read. The Kickstarter reward shipped not long ago, so
Yeah,
should be getting that soon. But yeah,
yeah,
that's
I'm looking forward to it. I got the PDF, but I don't want to read the PDF. I want
dude.
to read the.
I never read the fucking PDFs. The only time I read the PDFs is if you guys like come on my show or like if it's like later and like I can dig the PDF out instead of the comic. But like I typically always wait for the physical
Yeah.
reward. Like
For me,
when
it depends. Like I back a lot of Kickstarters,
yeah.
but if it's something that's not my cup of tea, I'll get the PDF just to support the person.
Yeah, just to help out.
But if
Yeah.
it's my kind of genre, then I'll get the book so I can keep it in my collection.
Yeah. Now have you when you mentioned like kind of pitching this around and stuff, after everything's said and done, have you been trying to do that with Riot Earp? Have you been shopping that around too?
Not yet.
No? Okay.
No, I probably will, but I have one more 48 pager that hopefully will be released sometime this year.
Nice.
And then I'll compile all those into a trade. And then at that point, I'll see if because that one is designed to be an ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got 14 issues already
Oh, nice. Nice.
scripted.
We got a lot of spy shenanigans to go. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
But he's not a spy.
Yeah, he's a government. He's like an agent.
He's a little bit of. He's more of a rabble rouser. I tell people he's like a Han Solo type who just happens to work for the police.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's like I thought. It's not the police, right? He works for like I thought he worked for the government.
No, he works for the CHP,
Oh, yeah,
California Highway
yeah,
Patrol.
that's right.
He
Okay.
just he winds up in these situations where he's
yeah, like he like
Yeah.
rescues like when he
the
like
government.
rescues the
He does,
yeah,
because in the first one he does rescue the government.
yeah. So I always think of him as like he's a super spy to me. He's more than a fucking cop, man.
Yeah.
I read the book. I swear to God, ladies and gentlemen, it's very good.
No, you did. I know you
I'm
did.
just not
And
a
the
good
thing
reader,
is,
apparently.
and the funny thing is, lately, I don't know what your politics are like, but lately, a senator who was she a senator or a representative who may or may not be your cup of tea has been talking about dividing the red states and blue states.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's the premise of Riot Earp, where it takes
Yeah.
place in 2055, and the country has been divided into red and blue states. So Riot Earp, it just winds up in these situations where he goes to a red state, he goes to a blue state, and you see what things actually would be like if the country was that divided politically.
Yeah. And it's kind of a mess. It's not
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why he gets
Yeah.
into these weird situations.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It is a mess. And he spent 5 years in the Space Force, circling Mars and so he comes back to Earth and he's got that fish out of water experience going for him too.
Yeah.
And he's being reintroduced to Earth divided. I mean, well, United States divided, and Earth overall is quite a bit different for him. But it's kind of a be careful what you ask for situation.
Yeah, definitely. And also just like great comic book fun.
Mhm.
You're really good at action, and I know that I think a lot of that typically or is artists too, right? But you still have to kind of like what how do you kind of script these big action scenes? Like, do you think of like key moments or like the big hit and be like this has to happen somewhere, but you can kind of have fun, or do you kind of give your artist free reign, or are
No,
you
no,
choreographing stuff?
I do it all myself.
Yeah, nice,
I
man.
do. I'm the DC school of scripting,
Okay.
where you force feed the artist everything. um, but I try to make my books, cinematic in scope.
Hmm.
So I have these, these movies or cartoons playing in my mind as I'm plotting or writing. Sometimes the scene will pop into my head, and I'll be like, "Ooh, I got to put this down and use this somewhere." And then sometimes I'm just writing and I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to get from A to B? I need an action scene. And then I just sit there until it comes to me.
Nice. Now, do you if it are do you I can't talk. Do any of your artists ever like do you guys ever butt heads, or is it like is it pretty like are your teams pretty cohesive? Because
Oh yeah.
like especially from project to project, and like you mentioned, you're working with like a new colorist who's a little green, and then you got the new artist for the sci-fi deal. Like, do you do you ever have to like reel people in, or is it pretty chill to work for Michael Katz? I guess.
Yeah. The only time I had a problem was my first letterer disappeared.
Oh no!
He did 2 chapters of Golden Years, and then he literally just vanished off the face of the earth.
Oh wow!
Even his business partner couldn't find him. So I
Wow!
had to have the whole, first 2 chapters relettered so they would,
Oh, is it
match
match?
the
Oh man,
rest of
that
it.
sucks.
Yeah. Otherwise, if an artist wants to change a little something here or there, I give them free reign to do so. Just so far, they haven't felt the need to, I
Nice.
guess.
You're just that good a writer. Just nailing it.
Nope. I hope
Nailing every
that's it.
panel.
Yeah. Either that or they just don't give a shit.
I, li- I like I want to go back earlier when you mentioned, when I was talking about how great your art teams are and how lucky you've been, and you're like, well, I pay people. And
Mm,
it's crazy that in today's crazy day and age of like indie comics right now, that how important that is, and to hear how many people don't get paid,
mm,
or don't get paid for long periods of time, or have to chase down people to get their money, or it's fucking nuts, man. And even from like from publishers, like it's we're seeing people are talking about like these publishers are scared of having to like close doors and put pencils down again and stuff, and so like money is like a hard is a hot commodity in comics, right? Because it's like some people don't know when they're going to get it or if they're going to get it, and so I
yeah.
think that's very I love that. That's one thing that you make sure that your people are paid well, and on time, and like you mentioned, even if you lose a couple bucks, like you're
Mhm.
still willing to do that to keep the dream alive and make these projects, man. And I mean, I know everybody wants to make money. That's like the end game, but like, I mean, I feel when I read your stuff that like, you're gonna that's the end result of like you doing everything you had to do,
Mm,
putting the money where in the right hands, getting, not skimping on stuff, right? And these books you're putting out really show that. And so I hope that like at the end of the day, if you're like, man, I'm losing money on this, or like, oh, this next project, like I really hope that you're putting out the fucking goods, man. Like
thanks. Yeah.
I really think you guys are doing some awesome projects, and
Well,
I'm glad you keep coming back.
yeah. I mean, that's the idea. I'm not doing this to make money today. It'd be nice to make money at some point,
Yeah,
but it's going to be a long slog to get there. Yeah, you don't become Pat Shand or Charlie Stickney overnight.
yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
It takes
it takes
takes a
years
while.
to get there. And right now, I'm just trying to raise enough funds to keep future projects in the works, and hopefully one day I'll get those big numbers coming in where I can afford to do this full time and screw the day job.
That's the dream, right? Like, I mean, you can say screw the day job. I sure did, but
Yeah.
now I'm like, I'm all right. Like I'm looking and stuff, but like I have like bills are paid for a couple months, like everything's cool.
Nice.
But like I'm realizing I'm like, oh, this omnibus came out, and I'm like, nope, can't do that right now. Like you're on like a spending freeze, buddy, because you don't have shit coming in.
Hey, I've been there, dude. My first wife, really going off topic here, but my first wife, she spent like every penny I had.
Oh no.
And I was, I had to use my retirement fund to save the house.
Oh wow.
And she wound up forging my name to a couple checks.
Damn.
So obviously things didn't work out well, but it was, I was cutting a lot of coupons at that point.
Man.
So you don't forget what it's like to be that broke.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it never.
I mean, I was never like, I'm not from like a rich family. Right? Like my dad doesn't own like a car dealership. We don't have a boat. Like there's. I'm not like, but like I never like. It's not like we ever had a Christmas where there weren't presents, and like no one was ever hungry, right? Like, and it's not. And I didn't, like if we ate bologna, it's because like my grandma made fried bologna and cheeses when I was a kid, and we liked bologna. It wasn't because like that was the only thing we could afford, which is crazy because now even beef bologna's gnarly fucking expensive now too. So anyway, off topic, from ex-wives to bologna, ladies and gentlemen, you never know where Blake's Buzz is gonna go. But that's again, man, like a lot. The more I learn about you, like I don't want to like kiss your ass too much. I want to keep you humble. But like your story's like really it's inspiring. Like you have a day job that keeps you busy, and you're chasing this dream in your free time, and you're doing it right. You're making great comics, you're working with really awesome people, and and then to hear about like so many people think like if you don't publish something by the time you're 20 or 30 you're fucked, right? And that's it, right? But there's so many people that like published their first novel like later on in life and then found success in it. And so like it's cool to see, like to see the time, you're showing people that like you don't, you can do this at any age, right? You can you can nerd out and make a comic
I was 51.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's and since that you've done I mean, technically 6 or 4 issues of Rider because they're twofers, and then you did this. You had fucking Ron Mars and Daryl on your. You do the special, which is, I mean, that's so cool. And then now you're doing the superhero book, and so you already have you're gonna have like a nice body of work, like several issues of comics with your name on them that you like curated, like put together, wrote, found the teams, put it on Kickstarter, did all that yourself, right? Like, I mean, I think that's fucking awesome, man. So like, I think it's important for us to remember that, like there is a timeline on life, obviously, because we're not like immortal, but like, there's always a chance, right? And you should, no matter how old you are, sometimes you should take the risk and, like don't be scared to tell that story, right? Like that's a good message to
I also have a little publishing company, and a lot of my authors are people who've retired and are finally getting the time to write the novel that they've always wanted to write. So it may just be a matter of getting free time. I mean, the reason I got into the comics was because of COVID. I didn't have to go into the office every day, and I was getting a lot of free time, that I didn't have to travel, enabling me to work more on the comic stuff.
That's cool. And David Azan mentions lawyers who write comics has to be, because David writes Nottingham, and he was at Mad Cave, and he was also an attorney or working in a law office. And
there's a lot of us on Twitter. I know
yeah,
that.
it's fucking going around. I should have I should have gone in a different field. Man, we got the chats popping off. We got we got comics by the Bays in the house, lamp in the. I've been thinking the same thing too. I'm like, it's got to have like.
Here's, I don't know if you see it. Here's my wedding picture.
Oh, I can see it in the bats. That's so cool.
Yeah, we actually had the bat signal.
Now is that the good wife or the other wife?
That's the good wife.
Okay.
I wouldn't have the other wife.
I was about to say this chick ruined my life, Blake. Man, I was on my knees, and I like to keep her wedding picture next to my desk.
Yeah.
All right, well, good. I'm glad you got the good bat pick for the good wedding. Yeah. Cole, what's up, Cole? Good to see you. El Crudo's in the house. What's up, Manny? Ignacio, did all this happen? Like, I wonder if there's like a lag, because there was like no comments. And hey, Gary?
I know,
up?
it's weird how that happens when I'm watching it. It happens.
Geek Collective in the house. What's up, everybody? Three Good Nerds. Oh, thank you all so much for tuning in. We sure appreciate you. If you're all just tuning in, I'm here with Michael Katz. Michael Katz has a really dope comic book on Kickstarter called Golden Years, not Golden Age, which I keep trying to call it. But it is about a superhero who gets displaced. He escapes time lock chamber and emerges 73 years in the future, from the 50s to 2023, and as you can imagine, everything is a shocker and weird to him. From like he always thinks he has to wear a tie everywhere. Like that was a really there's so many good bits. Like what kind of research did you do to like get like from comics of that time period, superheroes of that time period, just kind of trying to like remember what life was like back then? Like what all did you do to get into that mindset?
I didn't really have to do the research. I've got a good memory, and I've spent 50 plus years reading comics and watching TV shows and movies, and some of my favorite stuff is, Silver Age. I grew up reading Marvel and DC, but my favorite was always DC.
Nice.
And Captain Future's got that kind of Batman TV show feel.
Yeah.
To his,
he's a little goofy, right? He's humor. And like I said, the humor works so well. Like humor and action. You do, and your I really like your characters too. Like I want to know more about these people, and I love I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some twists and turns into our man's social life as the issues go by, of like an old girlfriend and stuff, and like, so that there's some drama to be had that I'm excited to see play out as well, which is. Again, just these are things you like. I need more in my superhero comics. Like I'm that weirdo that like I get off on like Superman being vulnerable, right? Like I love it when they appear human. Not all the time. Like I still want people to get punched through walls and shit, and I like flying and the big actions, but like they're still some, even and Superman's not human, but he's sort of human, right? And he has human emotions, and it's cool. It's cool to see those emotions showcased. It's and to see like, what Superman does when he's not saving lives, or to see him like stressed in some like real world circumstance that he can't control, and you're doing that. You have so many of those kind of elements. Like this superhero fucking book is made for me. I feel like it's totally my jam. And it reminds me of like why I love Tom King's Batman so much. Like Tom King's didn't have like the humor, right? But it was just like, so it was sad and it was emotional, and Batman, a lot of people would get mad about it because they were like, all Tom King does is beat the shit out of Batman. Like Batman never wins a fight. And like people got like all mad about it. And I was like, no, man, he made him vulnerable. He like reminded us that he's human, which he is. Like he has no superpowers. He's just rich and crazy.
Yeah.
And smart and can
There's
fight.
one of my favorites is The Spirit by Will Eisner.
Yeah.
And he gets his butt kicked left and right, but he always comes back, and that's what makes the story better.
Yeah.
that he's always down, and then he gets up. That's where the stories are special. Not when they just are automatically going to win.
Exactly. Yeah, that's boring. Like no one wants that. We need high stakes. Hey, what's up, Trev? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, go Chiefs, baby. Sorry. Miles never coming back on the show again. No, hopefully
I'll do it next year after the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, man, they were great. They're a great team. It was a good game. It was terrifying. Like we all over here, like we were starting to get sad. We were like, listen, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. And you know what though? That's what has always sucked about being a Chiefs fan. Even in like the bad years when we were like dog shit. Like I remember when my parents had club level season tickets and no one wanted to go. We couldn't give them away. We'd be like calling because you feel like an idiot when these like $100-something seats go to waste, right? And we're like they're calling people and being like, hey, do you guys want to go to the game? And everybody's like, nah, not really. And so I mean, like people wouldn't even go to like a nice club level seat. And so I remember those days. But even in when they never really just win a game. Like they always, for some reason, they take them to like the last fucking quarter. And like Chiefs I just always feel like Chiefs games are so fucking stressful. And like, anyways, sports, comics. But so again, like I'm a big fan of your storytelling, and like I said, the more I get from you, like the more excited I am of future projects. And I'm really like this sci-fi deal you're talking about sounds really killer too. And so like that's again, like I'm so glad to hear you got cards up your sleeves for future projects. But yeah, I can't wait to get these last 2 issues and read it because it's just like I said, we've got some great drama. I know there's going to be like a big hero moment, right? And I'm really excited to see because that's like necessary. It's like that necessary cliche in superhero comics. But our guy isn't firing on all cylinders, right? He's all discombobulated. He's stressed. He feels weird. Everything's different, and he's having trouble performing in the field, kind of, right? Like he's not at full superpowerness, like he has his powers, but he's just not using them as
he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he's all confused and shit.
He doesn't know what's proper this day and age.
Yeah. And like the new deal of like how everybody has a gun and like these automatic weapons and stuff. Like there's like that scene where in the church,
the warehouse,
right? Or the where, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the church and the shooter?
Yeah, the shooter, and he's like, he's like, no, it's cool, I got it. Anyways, he just doesn't handle these situations well. And then later he finds out from his roommate, he's like, yeah, no, dude, everybody has a gun. Everybody murders everybody all the time now in 2023. Like he's like, it's kind of a terrible fucking place.
Yeah,
and he's like learning all this as he goes, right? And so his mind's not right, and I'm really excited to see him get in sync and for the upcoming showdown, right? Like I feel like that's going to be a really good moment, a good battle, and then like kind of see how these other personal elements tie up too. Like I said, it's got a good story. It's got good characters. Like I'm interested in all the side and all just like his like regular people, accomplices. Like you've done a really good job, like showcasing them, while not necessarily they don't get as much, screen time in the comic, but they still feel very important and very real. And like, we're interested in seeing these other characters. Like, so just like it's an all around really solid comic. And like I said, it looks, feels, and reads like a big 2 book. It just like it could be Superman. It could be Captain America. In different circles. I mean, it's something similar did happen to Captain America, but he can't fly or jump really high. And he's a little more smooth. I feel like he's more smooth in the field, but Captain America isn't as smooth with the ladies. I feel like it took Cap like he was a little rusty, coming out, and then he never even really you know, he went back into. Well, I mean, this is in the movie. I'm talking about the MCU right
Right.
now. But
Well,
yeah,
that's because Captain Future wakes up in 2023 and women are a lot more
yeah,
outgoing.
yeah. I love it. There's this woman asks, she's like, do you want to stay the night? And he's like, oh no, I have a place to stay. I laughed so fucking hard, man. I was like, that, like, there's the conversation beats and dialogue are great. You did a really good job with all that.
Thanks.
So yeah, that was again, like, these non-fighting superhero scenes like really scream and like come alive on the page. And then of course, like the you know, supervillain encounters, and then we meet a couple new heroes, and like there's all that's a fucking mess, you know, like the wrong people are fighting each other, and like it's just like no one knows what they're doing, it feels like.
Mhm.
And I love that. And again, like I'm excited to like I'm excited to watch like all the gears click, right? And when it's like when he's really synced up and good to go, like I said, like that big hero moment, I think is really going to pay off with readers of this book. What if Cap had game? Marvel editorial. I know you're oftentimes watching Blake's Buzz to scout new talent. I know we're not really allowed to pitch you stuff, but you know, maybe take that to heart. Marvel people don't watch my show.
Yeah, I can write that.
Yeah, I got that. That'd be fun. Like this, like a smooth, like Gambit, but Captain America.
He does have a game. He's been with a lot of women.
Oh yeah, I guess we did find that out, didn't
Yeah.
we? In She-Hulk. I forgot. Oh fuck, I forgot Captain America. Fucks. I forgot about that. Oh my god. I ain't quit doing drugs. I mean, that's a bad idea, but yeah, I guess that, yeah. Wow. Well, that whole conversation was entirely pointless, and we just
I
went.
mean, I can list them. I know Sharon Carter.
I know her. Yeah,
Diamondback.
He did. Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was there for a while. Bernie Rosenthal.
Did he ever hook up with Black Widow? No, that was Daredevil.
I think Scarlet Witch.
Really?
I think when she came back after that whole House of M, No More Mutants debacle, I think he might have hooked up with her.
No way.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look that. I want the.
If they didn't, they came very close.
Huh.
I'll tell you that.
That was like, it's always, I love when these comic book hookups happen. It always intrigues me. Like when Frank Miller when the Punisher and Elektra.
Frank Castle.
Yeah, when they hooked up for a while, and then just thinking of like the wild, nutty, violent sex that they probably had, like Elektra, and because I remember in the Daredevil books when he, like, in Frank Miller's Daredevil, when he hooks up with Elektra, and when they definitely, I mean, like, they tear up his dorm room, like dude, she rocks his fucking world, and like is a very physical lover, and they very much make that like apparent, you know. And you know, Frank Castle, you know, like Frank Castle's laying it down, right? He's not, you know, I don't see him as a gentle lover,
right.
You know, but I think he'll get you there, right? Like, you know, I don't think he's not a greedy lover, but not gentle. Like, so I just, oh man, I just feel like
workmanlike.
Yeah, man, just the fucking powerhouse humping that goes on between those. I just, of the ages, like epic, humping of epic proportions. Anyway, I think about stuff like that sometimes, you know, because I'm unemployed and have nothing else to do. But I do like, and I haven't read it yet, but like there's a new Gambit and Rogue miniseries that Steph Phillips is writing now, and so yeah, it's always interesting to see these the relationship elements, or like when Kitty Pryde left Colossus at the altar, like that, X-Men Gold, like that shit was just fucking gnarly, and so it's I like these, and again, like a smart move. You have the sexcapades and the relationship drama, like in this, like, and it's a very pertinent story beat. So you get it too. You understand it. I'm not just crazy. What was the hardest thing about writing this? About writing, you know, like in a dual time period piece, switching back and forth, and also like simultaneously, like, while paying like so much respect and putting little nods and Easter eggs and stuff like that, of like the comics that came before it and everything that you respect and admire, but while doing all that and still like keeping your own voice, making everything unique, making all these new characters. Like what was the hardest bit for you?
The hardest part was probably creating these old-fashioned superheroes and supervillains.
Okay.
Because you haven't gotten to the flashback to the heroes that used to fight with Captain Future. That's
Oh,
in one of
nice.
the later chapters. So there are a couple of those, and then there are maybe 5 or 6 supervillains in Captain Future's Rogues Gallery. And the hard part was coming up with characters that fit that 1950s, time where they would have, quirky names like the Jersey Devil and Science Beast. And I don't remember where I came up with that, but it was I know there would have been a tip of the hat to some similar character with a goofy name like that.
Nice. Yeah, they're all fun. Like, and the villains, and then like there's another side superhero, and like the idea of like it's a different guy like every night, and they wear a mask, and then if they switch it up, then they're like the guys are on the headset like telling them what to do, and so it's like this trio of men who like swap out being the hero,
Right.
which
The
also
Night
makes
Fox.
sense because you can't
Yeah.
just do that every day and every night, right? Your
Right.
body's gonna break. Like that's like that's the Batman phenomenon, right? Of just like going out to Gotham every night.
It's a character I came up with years ago, and I'll actually have some of the pages from that as back matter in this book. But the concept was 4 guys, different paths of life. One's a cop, one's a lawyer, one's an ex-soldier, one's a martial artist, and they take turns under the mask. And because it's grueling to be a regular guy and fight crime. So they take turns each night. A different guy goes on patrol, and somebody, 1 or 2 of them, stay behind and man the computer screens to keep an eye on them and help talk into their ear.
And what's better than a guy in the chair? Guys in the chair, right? That's so he's got a. I wish I had a team that was like telling me what to do all the time. That'd be great. I mean, to an extent, but I mean, I feel like it would make life a little easier in some circumstances, especially when you think of them like because they almost seem like Oracle-ish, right? Like they're
Right,
like,
right.
and
Yeah,
so like they like know everything, and they're like in all the databases and like feeding them all that information. It's very cool. Now, I know this would be like a bigger project, but like a lot of these characters, like you mentioned, like this was a character you were going to do something with separately. Like a lot of these new heroes and villains you've built and created, I mean, like this is like rife for spinoff or like or one shot territory to like kind of fill in some of these. Like, is that something that's on the table for you, or you're like hold on, Speedy, like let's get the fucking book out first before we like announce the sequel and the spinoff.
I was this close to already starting a Night Fox special.
Nice.
I'm like, I better wait, make sure I fund, the other stuff that's in the works right now before I start something from scratch.
But that's cool that like if all things go well, like that's probably going to be something you're going to do, like expand some of these characters.
Yeah, if the sci-fi book with the naughty bits works out, I'm definitely going to start the spin-off with the Night Fox, a one shot, and then we'll see how it goes, and down the line maybe some of these other characters will come back.
Very cool, man. Now, does it ever get a lot like with the day job, family life, and all this stuff? And I mean, I know it's not monthly deadlines with Kickstarter, but Kickstarter is also a lot of extra work on top of itself. because I mean, do you do all the fulfillment, or do you do a fulfillment center, or
No,
like
I do it myself.
you're doing it? Nice.
Yeah.
So like, is it is it ever hard, like kind of balancing like the day life and the night life, and then kind of juggling all these different projects, and like you mentioned, like sometimes you got to reel yourself in and be like, well, wait, like let's wait on that later.
Yeah, it actually isn't, because it the work comes in, dribs and drabs. I don't have to sit here and work for 5 hours straight. It's back and forth. I do the script, send it to the artist, get the pages back and forth, colorist back and forth, letterer back and forth. Then the Kickstarter, maybe I'll take us a whole Saturday to do the Kickstarter page.
Okay.
And then once I launch it, you're talking about maybe a half hour to an hour each day of marketing, getting the word out. Fulfillment, you've got to put everything together and prepare it for the printer.
Yeah.
So that might be a whole day's worth of work there. And then when you get the books back from the printer, you might take it a couple days to get everything out in the mail.
Is it as terrible as like everybody? Like I've heard, like everybody's just like, I love making comics, and like Kickstarter's cool, and it's so great to feel funded, and it's great. It's a great feeling to get the books in the mail, like when the pallets show, all these books show up, and everything looks good, and it's like, and then like that part hits you where it's like, oh, I gotta bag and board and tape these motherfuckers and put a sticker in each one, and then, oh wait, this person gets 3 stickers and a pin, and this person gets a T-shirt. Like is it? Are you? Do you have like people? Do you have like friends or family you like trick into helping you, or are you just like suffering through all that?
I do it myself. It's easier to do it myself.
Yeah.
Because
no one can fuck up.
Like, exactly. Yeah, that's it. I have a system where I divide it into segments. Just the book and prints. Book and variant cover, et cetera, and then I do them all, in one shot.
Nice. Speaking of fulfillment, just real quick, want to shout this out. My network, the Geek Collective, is partnered with Gemini Comic Supply, and so if you do have a Kickstarter going, or you're getting ready to ship, or you just want to stock up on Gemini mailers, which you should be using if you do a Kickstarter, or if you buy and sell comics and stuff, you should use Gemini mailers, please. Your backers and purchasers will appreciate it. Anyways, you can get 10% off your order with Geek Collective 10. Save buy some Geminis if you need them. Save a few bucks. I don't get anything out of it, but hey, whatever. The network does, and I'm their little whore. So no, I'm just kidding. Don't fire me, please. But no, it's like I said, it's a cool deal. Save a few bucks, and yeah, like I said, all of us really appreciate people that use Gemini. Bag and board and a Gemini mailer, and you're usually going to have happy backers.
Yep.
I mean, it's easy peasy. So yeah, just doing. Man, that sounds so terrible. So in like my mind where I think about making a comic book sometime, and more than likely having it come through Kickstarter, like I always thought about doing like I remember the deal of like, oh yeah, help me move, like pizza and beer, like help me move, right? No, I could be like, dude, I'll get an assembly line. Like no one wants to help anybody move anymore, but like this is like you could like sit down while you do this, and like people. And then now I'm second guessing myself, because I don't know if I'd want a bunch of people like eating pizza and then touching all these fucking comic books with their greasy, saucy, cheesy fingers to send to backers. So this whole, I gotta rethink this whole deal. I was thinking of like tricking my friends and family into like a movie dinner night, and then like set up like an assembly, like you fold the mailer, you put the bag in the board, and then just like goes down the line. And you like
I do
turn
the
your family
assembly
into a
line just
machine
by myself.
And no one gets greasy pizza stains on your. I haven't seen any greasy pizza stains on the comics.
And no one screws up.
People. So That's what you need to know about Michael Katz, ladies and gentlemen. His people are getting paid. His backers are getting happy, and they're getting their comics. All right, he's got previous fulfillment success. Like I said, I've gotten comics from him. He ships well. He knows what he's doing, and he knows how to write a fucking story. And he's really good at writing superheroes. And so I really want all you guys to back his fucking campaign and get this good comic for yourselves because you need it and you need it on your shelves, and it'll be good. It's a trade, so it'll be all nice for the shelves. It's not a single, not a floppy, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna full blown, big 2 level superhero ass kicking, ass smashing trade from Michael Katz with some amazing art, and maybe a T-shirt. And get the T-shirt. Go get the T-shirt. It'll be okay. You get the T-shirt. No, but Michael, I've kept you for about an hour, man, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. And I'm really excited, like I said, for this. I mean, you're already funded, but you know, I'm hoping you get a few more people and can get to a comfy place, right? But real quick, like, let us know. You mentioned you have a publishing house. Like, I mean, do you want to do some shout outs? Let us know like where to find you on the socials and all that good stuff.
Right. Well, my company is Strider Nolan Media. So my website is stridernolan.com. And my Twitter handle is StriderNolan13. And you can find me on Instagram. It's Michael S. Katz 7. Facebook, Michael S. Katz. But it's easiest to get me on Twitter at StriderNolan13.
Nice. Well, yeah. You give him a follow. Check out his campaign. He's got, and like, if you're really wanting to spend some money, which I know a lot of people do, and if you like buying comics, which a lot of people that watch this show do, cannot recommend Riot Earp enough. Like, and you can get those as add-ons on the campaign. You can check all that out. That comic has been an absolute blast, and I'm so excited. You've got like 14 issues planned. That's so exciting. Yeah, it's just been, dude, it's been cool watching you make comics, man, and getting to know you. Like, thank you so much for this motherfucker introduced me to Ron Mars, ladies and gentlemen. Like, sent me an email and was like, come in, Ron Mars, and some people go on. And I was like, what? So, I mean, it's, hey, appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you always, coming back on the show. And I hope, you always got a place at Blake's Buzz for future campaigns, because I'm definitely excited to see what you got in the cannon for the future, bud.
Awesome. Thanks, Blake.
Hey, man, happy to have you on. Glad things are going well. And unless you got anything else you want to shout out, I'm going to play the music.
Shout out Eagles.
Maybe next year. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, joining in the chat. We'll see you soon. Tomorrow night, actually, I'm coming back again. Just can't get rid of me, babies. Have a great night.
It's Blake's Buzz Live.